The champagne glass shattered against the marble floor, and every head in the ballroom turned toward her. But Maya wasn't supposed to be here. She wasn't even a real bridesmaid. If you want to hear how a $200 gig turned into the most insane night of her life, you need to hear this whole story. Like and subscribe, because this gets wild. 3 days earlier, Maya was scrolling through a gig app at 2 in the morning. Rent was due in 4 days. Her bank account had $63. She'd already sold her laptop, her vintage records, even her grandmother's necklace. The eviction notice on her door felt like a countdown timer to homelessness. That's when she saw it. Stand-in bridesmaid needed. Wedding this Saturday, $200 cash, must fit size 6 dress. No questions asked. No questions asked. Those 3 words should have been a red flag the size of Texas, but Maya needed that money, desperately. So she messaged the number. The response came back in under a minute. Just 3 words. You're hired. Saturday. Then an address to a bridal shop downtown. Maya showed up Friday afternoon expecting some kind of interview. Maybe they'd want to know if she could walk in heels or hold a bouquet without looking awkward. Instead, a woman with severely pulled back hair and a clipboard shoved a garment bag into her arms the second she walked through the door. The woman's name was Patricia. She looked at Maya like she was inspecting a piece of furniture. She circled her once, twice, then nodded. You'll do. The dress fitting is now. The wedding is tomorrow at 3. You'll stand on the bride's side. 4th position. You smile. You don't talk to anyone. You leave right after the ceremony. Understood? Maya opened her mouth to ask why they needed a fake bridesmaid. Patricia cut her off. I said no questions. Do you want the job or not? Maya thought about the eviction notice. She thought about sleeping in her car. She said yes. The dress fit perfectly, too perfectly, like it had been made for someone with her exact measurements. That should have been red flag number 2. But Maya was already picturing that $200. Already imagining the relief of handing her landlord a stack of 20s. Saturday arrived faster than she expected. The wedding was at some estate outside the city. The kind of place that had a circular driveway and columns that touched the sky. Maya had never been anywhere like it. She felt like an imposter before she even put on the dress. Patricia met her at a side entrance. She handed Maya the bridesmaid dress, a bouquet of white roses, and a laminated card with a single instruction. Stand between bridesmaid 3 and 5. Smile during photos. Leave immediately after the ceremony. Do not attend the reception. Wait, Maya said. I'm not going to the reception? Patricia's expression went cold. You're being paid to stand in a wedding, not to eat shrimp cocktail and dance. The ceremony only. Then, you disappear. Something in Patricia's tone made Maya's skin crawl. But she'd already come this far. She took the dress and went to change. The other bridesmaids were getting ready in a large suite upstairs. Maya tried to slip in unnoticed, but the second she walked through the door, the energy in the room shifted. 3 women in matching purple dresses stopped mid-conversation and stared at her. One of them, a blonde with perfect makeup, broke the silence. Who are you? Maya froze. I'm bridesmaid number 4? The blonde's eyes narrowed. We don't have a 4th bridesmaid. There are only 3 of us. Before Maya could respond, another woman jumped in. Wait, are you Vanessa's replacement? The room went dead silent. Maya had no idea who Vanessa was. She had no idea what to say. She just stood there holding her dress, feeling like she'd walked into a trap. The blonde stepped closer. You're the stand-in. Oh my God. Caroline actually hired a stand-in. Who's Caroline? Maya asked. The bride, the blonde said. She laughed, but it wasn't a friendly sound. Of course she hired someone. She couldn't handle the empty spot. She couldn't let anyone see that Vanessa bailed. Maya's pulse quickened. Why did Vanessa bail? The three bridesmaids exchanged glances. None of them answered. Finally, the blonde shrugged. "You'll figure it out. Just stay out of the way. And whatever you do, don't talk to the groom." Then they turned back to their mirrors and ignored her. Maya got dressed in silence. Her hands were shaking. She didn't know what she'd walked into, but it didn't feel like a normal wedding anymore. It felt like a performance, like everyone was pretending, and she was just another prop. The ceremony started exactly at 3. Maya stood in her assigned position, fourth in line, between two women who refused to make eye contact with her. The bride, Caroline, was stunning, tall, elegant, with a smile that looked painted on. But when Maya looked closer, she saw something else. Caroline's hands were trembling. Her eyes kept darting toward the entrance like she expected someone to burst through the doors. The groom was handsome in that generic catalog model way. He smiled at Caroline, but it didn't reach his eyes. Everything about this wedding felt wrong, like a beautiful lie wrapped in lace and flowers. The vows were short, the kiss was brief, the applause was polite but stiff. And the second it was over, Patricia appeared at Maya's elbow like a ghost. "Time to go," she whispered. But Maya hesitated. She glanced toward the ballroom where the reception was being set up. She could hear music starting. She could see guests filing in. And something inside her screamed that she needed to stay. That if she left now, she'd never know what was really happening here. Patricia grabbed her arm. "I said it's time to go." "You've done your job." Maya pulled away. "I want to stay for the reception." Patricia's face went hard. That wasn't part of the deal. "Then I'll give the money back," Maya said. She didn't know why she was being so stubborn. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was something deeper. But she wasn't leaving. Patricia stared at her for a long moment. Then she did something unexpected. She smiled. "Fine. Stay. But don't say I didn't warn you." Then she disappeared into the crowd. Maya walked into the reception alone. The ballroom was massive, with chandeliers that looked like they cost more than her entire life, round tables covered in white linens, centerpieces that could have been in a museum. Everything was perfect. Too perfect. She found her name card at a table in the back. Table 12, the reject table. She sat down next to an elderly woman who introduced herself as Aunt Linda and immediately started complaining about the chicken. Maya barely heard her. She was too busy watching the bride and groom at the head table. Caroline was smiling, but her eyes kept scanning the room. The groom was on his phone. Nobody at the head table was talking to each other. It was the strangest wedding reception Maya had ever seen. Then the speeches started. The maid of honor stood up first. Her speech was generic. Lots of talk about love and happiness and forever. But halfway through, she hesitated. She glanced at Caroline, and for just a second, her smile cracked. When we were kids, Caroline always said she'd marry someone who made her feel alive, someone who challenged her, someone who saw her. The maid of honor paused again. And I really hope she found that. The room went quiet. It wasn't a normal kind of quiet. It was the kind of quiet that comes right before something breaks. Caroline stood up abruptly. Her chair scraped against the floor. She grabbed a champagne glass and raised it high. "To my husband," she said. Her voice was too loud, too bright. "To the man who swept me off my feet, to the man who promised me the world." She drank the entire glass in one gulp. Then she grabbed another. The groom reached for her arm, but she pulled away. She was smiling, but tears were streaming down her face. That's when Maya saw her. A woman standing in the doorway of the ballroom. She was wearing jeans and a leather jacket, completely out of place. Her dark hair was pulled into a messy ponytail, and she was staring directly at Caroline. Caroline saw her too. The champagne glass slipped from her hand and shattered against the floor. Every head in the ballroom turned. The woman in the doorway didn't move. She just stood there, watching, waiting. Caroline's face went white. "Vanessa," she whispered. So that was Vanessa, the bridesmaid who bailed. The reason Maya was here. But why was she crashing the reception? And why did Caroline look like she'd seen a ghost? Vanessa walked into the ballroom. Slowly, deliberately. Every step echoed. The groom stood up. His face had gone red. "Vanessa, what the hell are you doing here?" Vanessa ignored him. She walked straight to Caroline. "I tried to let you do this," she said. Her voice was quiet, but everyone could hear it. "I tried to stay away, but I can't watch you marry him. I can't watch you throw your life away." Caroline was shaking. "You need to leave." "Right now." Vanessa reached out and took Caroline's hand. "Tell them the truth. Tell them why I left. Tell them what he did." The groom moved toward them. "That's enough. You're drunk. You're embarrassing yourself." Vanessa turned on him. "I'm embarrassing myself? You're the one who's been cheating on her for 6 months. You're the one who told her she was crazy for being upset. You're the one who convinced her that I was jealous and toxic and trying to ruin her happiness." The room exploded in whispers. Guests were pulling out phones. The maid of honor covered her mouth. Aunt Linda leaned over to Maya and whispered, "I knew something was off about that boy." Caroline was crying now. Full, body-shaking sobs. "Stop," she said. "Just stop." But Vanessa didn't stop. "I have proof. I have screenshots. I have voicemails." She turned to address the entire room. "He's been sleeping with his co-worker. Her name is Jessica. She's here tonight. Table 7. Everyone turned to look at Table 7. A woman with red hair went pale and tried to sink into her chair. The groom lunged at Vanessa, but 2 groomsmen grabbed him. "You're insane," he shouted. "You've always been insane. You're the reason Caroline and I almost didn't make it this far." Vanessa laughed, a cold, bitter sound. "No, I'm the reason she almost woke up in time." She turned back to Caroline. "I love you. I've always loved you. And I know you love me too. That's why you pushed me away. That's why you hired someone to stand in my place. Because you couldn't handle seeing me stand up there while you married him." The room went silent again. But this time, it was different. This time it felt like everyone was holding their breath. Caroline looked at Vanessa. Then she looked at her groom. Then she looked down at her wedding ring. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely a whisper. "You're right." The groom's face twisted. "Caroline, don't do this. Don't let her manipulate you." But Caroline wasn't looking at him anymore. She was only looking at Vanessa. "I've been lying to myself for 2 years. I convinced myself that what I felt for you was just friendship, just confusion. I convinced myself that marrying him was the right thing, the normal thing." She pulled the ring off her finger. "But I don't want normal. I want real." Then she kissed Vanessa. Right there in the middle of the ballroom, in her wedding dress, in front of 300 people. Half the room gasped. The other half pulled out their phones. Aunt Linda started clapping. The groom stormed out, and Maya just sat there, watching the most dramatic moment she'd ever witnessed unfold in real time. When Caroline and Vanessa finally pulled apart, Caroline turned to face the crowd. "I'm sorry," she said. "I'm sorry for wasting your time. I'm sorry for the lie. But I'm not sorry for this." She took Vanessa's hand, and they walked out of the ballroom together. Just like that, still in her wedding dress. leaving behind a reception full of shocked guests and a very expensive, very wasted cake. Maya sat in stunned silence. She'd been hired to fill an empty spot in a wedding party. She'd thought it was just about appearances. About a bride who couldn't handle an odd number of bridesmaids. But it was so much bigger than that. It was about a woman who was too afraid to be herself. Who hired a stranger to stand in place of the person she really loved, who almost married the wrong person because it felt safer than the truth. Patricia appeared at Maya's table. She set down an envelope. "Your payment," she said. "Plus a little extra. Caroline wanted to thank you for staying." Maya opened the envelope. $500, more than twice what she'd been promised. "Why did she really hire me?" Maya asked. Patricia sat down. "Because she needed a placeholder. Someone to stand where Vanessa should have been. She thought if she could just get through the ceremony, she could forget. She could move on. But some people can't be replaced. Some empty spaces are supposed to stay empty until the right person comes back." Maya thought about that on her drive home. About empty spaces. About the things people do when they're terrified of their own truth. About how sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stop pretending. She used the money to pay her rent, but she didn't forget that wedding. She thought about it every time she was tempted to take the easy path. Every time she considered hiding who she really was to make other people comfortable. 6 months later, she saw Caroline and Vanessa's engagement announcement online. They were smiling. Really smiling. The kind of smile that comes from finally being honest. Maya sent them a message. "Congratulations. I'm glad you found your way back to each other." Caroline responded immediately. "Thank you for being there. For witnessing the moment I finally chose myself. It meant more than you know." Maya never worked as a stand-in bridesmaid again. But she never forgot what she learned that night, that sometimes you're not supposed to fit into someone else's story. Sometimes you're just supposed to be there when the real story finally begins. And sometimes the empty spaces in our lives aren't meant to be filled by just anyone. They're meant to stay empty until we're brave enough to fill them with the truth. If this story hit you in any way, make sure you're subscribed because I post real stories like this every week. Drop a comment and tell me about a time you had to choose between what felt safe and what felt true. And remember that the bravest thing you can ever do is stop being a stand-in your own life.